Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. And this is part 2 of Esau and Edom. History confirms the word and the kingdom. Esau and Edom. History confirms the word and their kingdom. So I'm going to open up again with this lesson with 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 7 through 9. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And I usually like to open up with this verse when I talk about Esau and Edom, because my people in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach, which is the church, which is also the spiritual temple of Yahuwah that is not made by hands, you really need to understand this prophecy between these two brothers, because it relates a lot to these end times, especially with the signs we're seeing that's happening in the earth as well as heaven, because judgment is coming. And this is a warning to all. Those who join themselves to Edom, that means you're going to do what Edom does and will not repent. You shall receive his judgments that's coming. In other words, if you do not receive salvation and be baptized in the name of Yahushua, you are damning yourself to go to the eternal lake of fire. The Most High is not playing, my people. He's tired of this evil. He's tired of the wickedness, and he's tired of the unrighteous. Enough is enough. Grace is soon ending, and time will be up. So that brings me to one of the verses that I was talking about from part 1. And that's 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 18 through 19, because a lot of people are not thinking about what is the Great Tribulation. A lot of time we think about the Great Tribulation in pertaining to the Antichrist. But there was a Great Tribulation that even happened before this last Antichrist would come. It's been ongoing, in other words. So I'm going to read to you 2nd Ezra chapter 6, starting at 18 through 19. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. And that is being fulfilled now as we speak, my people. For that's dealing with the nation of Israel. For our affliction, our oppression, our captivity is ending very soon. For this is the year of Jubilee. From Tishri, the 10th day of 2015, to Tishri, the 9th day of 2016. We are looking to be delivered by our Savior. Okay? So the Most High want me to give you these scriptures to prove to you that the Great Tribulation has started with my people. So when you read Matthew 24, you will understand what Matthew 24 is talking about. So first, let us go to the book of Mark to prove to you what I'm saying. And then we will read Matthew 24, those verses. So first, let us go to Mark. Mark chapter 13. And I shall read to you verses 14 through 31. Mark chapter 13, verse 14. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. And let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. So as you can see here, what Yahushua was talking about with Daniel prophecy relates to 70 AD when our holy city was destroyed by Titus. Okay? So when it was destroyed, most of my people fled into the land of Africa, as well as throughout other parts of the world. But the majority of them went into the land of Africa, my people. Let us keep reading. Verse 16. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with child and to them that get sucked in those days. I pray ye that your flight not be in the winter. For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which Yahuwah created, until this time, never shall be. And except that Yahuwah has shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake whom he hath chosen, he has shortened the days. So this is the confirmation to prove what I'm telling you, that the Great Tribulation has been started, my people. It started with the nation of Israel. It started after that 70 AD, and it's been ongoing, which is evident today because we're still under the Roman Empire, which I will prove to you from the book of Daniel, chapter 11. Okay? So the abomination of desolation, if you study the history of the destruction of Jerusalem, Titus brought in the ensign, which was the eagle, and he also did his own sacrifices and offering in our holy temple to his deities, and he brought other things that was abominable to the Most High regarding his deities. Do your research, my people. Study it. But let us keep reading a little further. Verse 21. And I also have to mention the reason why he shortened the days, because if he didn't shorten the days, only the elect will have been saved, my people. Think about it. Man don't live a long time. Also, time has been affected when you think about it. Look up earthquakes. See what they do to time. Let's keep going. 21. And then if any man shall say to you, lo, here is Christ, or lo, here, oh, lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christs and prophets and false prophets shall rise, and shall shew signs and wonder to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. See, the elect gonna be able to recognize these false Christs and false prophets, because you got to be in this word, my people. You got to study it, because even Satan and his followers have powers too. So you got to have the spirit of discernment, and that spirit of discernment comes from the Holy Spirit, the mother. Verse 23. But take ye hold, but take ye heed. Behold, I have foretold you all things. But in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. So that's my proof, my people. It's talking about Zion affliction, Zion tribulation, which does include the church of Yahuwah, the spiritual temple of Yahuwah, which is the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. For those who take a hold unto the new covenant, which is the New Testament, you are a part of this too. But in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the utmost part of the earth to the utmost part of heaven. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender and put forth leaves, ye know that summer is near. So ye in like manner, when ye shall see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the doors. For verily I say unto you, that this generation shall not pass till all these things be done. So we will not know the day and hour, but my people, we will know the season of when is close to our Savior to return. Verse 31. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Now let us go to Luke chapter 21 to prove to you what I'm saying about Zion affliction is the great tribulation. Luke chapter 21, and we'll go to verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. 70 AD, my people. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are fulfilled may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive in all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So again, my people, the great tribulation has been going on with the nation of Israel. For they are the ones that this Bible is talking about, who are led captive into all nations. Let us keep reading. Verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming within a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And he spake them a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, ye see and know of your own selves that summer is not at hand. So likewise ye, when you see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of Yahuwah is not at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. When you spare time, read that whole chapter. I'm just proving to you when the Great Tribulation started. It started with Zion, as prophesied in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 18 through 19. When the affliction of Zion is fulfilled, that's when my Father's going to come back and give judgment. Let us also go to John, the book of John, and we'll go to chapter. Hold on, my people. The book of John, chapter 16. And when you get a chance, when you read these chapters, I'm going to give you the Bible link to this Bible. Click on the 1611 version and click on like a picture like this so you can get the precepts. Okay? But I'm trying to keep this lesson short and straight to the point. Let's go to John chapter 16, and we're going to read verse 32 to 33 because I'm proving to you when this great tribulation started. It's been started. It started with Zion, which is the nation of Israel. Behold, the hour cometh, yea, is now come, that ye shall be scattered, every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. So in that verse 32, the precept for that verse is Matthew chapter 26, verse 31. Matthew chapter 6, verse 31, because that's then with the time they're going to come and get Christ. Verse 33, these things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So those who come into the body of Yahushua HaMashiach, you will have tribulation because you choose to serve Yahuwah and you choose to believe in the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach. Also, Israelites, your tribulation have been started since the days of 70 AD. For we are under this Roman Empire that Daniel speak of in Daniel's chapter 11. Now, let us go to Matthew chapter 24. Because see, most people just only focus on the 3.5 years dealing with the last Antichrist. And as I just proved in the word, it started way long before. Okay? And we shall read verses 20. We're going to start at verse 20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake. Those days shall be shortened. Then if any man say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there believe it not. For there shall rise false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonder, insomuch that it was possible they shall deceive the very elect. So in your time, read those chapters I gave to you. Matthew chapter 24. Mark chapter 13, Luke chapter 21, and John chapter 16. For when you read Revelation chapter 12, it is talking about the nation of Israel. But keep in mind, within the nation of Israel, we have Gentiles who came into the body of Yahushua. So there's 3 groups of people that my Father is going to be dealing with through Yahushua HaMashiach. He's going to send his son back to take care of these 3 groups of people. The 144,000 will be redeemed from the earth, my people. That is within Revelation chapter 7, chapter 14, and chapter 15. The church will be redeemed from the earth, my people. That is confirmed in the Gospels as well in the book of Esdras, 2nd Esdras. And then the chosen remnant that is to go back into the holy land of Israel, which is Zion, Jerusalem, which is located in Tel Arad, Israel today, for it lies in ruins, and it is desolate as prophesied by Christ and by the Old Testament. They will return there. Now that is the dealing with the earthly realm. For the Most High has a chosen remnant in the earth realm to return in the earthly Zion. So great things going to be happening, my people. When Yahushua HaMashiach come to deliver us, to redeem us from the hands of the wicked. So you hold on and you have faith, my brothers and sisters, in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. He has not forgotten us. He will keep his promise as written in the word. So now let us go to the book of Daniel. Now we're going to look at again the North versus South part 2. Focus on the summary. It's dealing with the leagues and conflicts between the kings of the South and of the North. And then when we hit verse 30, it's going to deal with the Roman Empire, my people, that is still ongoing to this day. And all of these kingdoms, from the Grecian / Greek kingdoms up to the Roman kingdoms, is my brother's Esau kingdom. For as prophesied in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 7 through 9, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth it. And it's going to be fulfilled as written. So let us get started. Verse 20. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. But within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. So the person they talking about, his estate, was Antiochus III the Great. The kingdom was talking about the Seleucid kingdom, which is the Greeks. And the raiser of taxes was talking about Seleucus the fourth Philopater. He is the second son of Antiochus III the Great. And you can find it in 2nd Maccabees chapter 3, verse 7 through 40. History note. Heliodorus, King Seleucus, treasurer, in 2nd Maccabees chapter 3, verse 7, kills Seleucus and reigned in his place. So that has fulfilled verse 20. Verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come peaceably and attain the kingdom by flatteries. His estate, Seleucus the fourth Philopater. The vile person they're talking about is Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, who also is known as Mithridates. He is the third son of Antiochus III the Great and the brother of Seleucus. Now he reigned from 175 BC to 164 BC, and you can follow up about him in 1st Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10. The kingdom that this verse is talking about is the Seleucid kingdom, which is the Greeks. And for history note, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, who was the third son of King Antiochus III the Great, he is the brother of Seleucus the fourth Philopater. And I do list his other siblings you can read for yourself in your spare time. Now he took the kingdom since Demetrius the first Sultan, the son of Seleucus the fourth Philopater, was a captive of Rome. According to 1st Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10, Antiochus surnamed Epiphanes was a wicked root. He was a hostage at Rome in 188 BC because of the treaty his father, Antiochus the Great, established with the Romans. Later, he was exchanged for his nephew Demetrius I under his brother Rhimes, Seleucus IV. He reigned in 175 BC, which is the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks, who are Edom. His original name is Mithridates, sometimes spelled Mithridates. He was born 215 BC and died in 164 BC at the age of 51. The year of the kingdom of the Greeks was from 312 BC to 63 BC. Now, this is dealing with when Antiochus IV Epiphanes took the Seleucid kingdom. In 2nd Maccabees chapter 4, verse 7, it says, but after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest. You always got somebody being a person to betray their own people. But let's keep reading. History fact. He killed Heliodorus, who co-ruled with Seleucus, infant son, in 175 BC. And in 170 BC, he murdered the infant son of Seleucus the fourth, named Antiochus, to have sole rulership of the Seleucid kingdom. This man was very wicked, my people. Remember, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes' kingdom is under the Roman Republic, the fourth beast of Daniel's chapter 2, 7, and 8. The brass nails of the beast are a representation of the Greeks' fourth kingdom under the Romans' dominion. He is the first of the 11th horn, or the mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. There will be many fulfilling the place of the 11th horn of the mouth, which is the Antichrist, because there will be many Antichrists, as First John had talked about, until Yahuwah comes and judgment is given through his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. And Yahushua is given dominion and the kingdom. And you can find that in Daniel chapter 7, verse 9 through 14 and 20 to 27. Some of the antichrists, starting with Antiochus IV to Titus to Roman Emperor Constantine I to the Pope, and many more until Gog, the king of the north. And we know he's going to be the king of Russia. I'm not saying that he's going to be from Russia, but I know he's going to be over Russia, okay? And he's going to be the last Antichrist that First John chapter 2:18 is talking about that comes, as well as First Thessalonians chapter 2. This period of time of the 3.5 years in Daniel chapter 7, verse 25 will be known as the Great Tribulation. So this is like the Great Tribulation 2 that most people think about. Okay? Because when you read Revelation chapter 12, the woman who will escape from the beast or the serpent is going to be protected. So that's that three group of people I was telling you about earlier. The 144 going to be redeemed from the earth. The church, which is the body of Yahushua, or the spiritual temple of Yahuwah that's not made by hands, will be redeemed from the earth. But the remnant of Israel, the chosen remnant of Israel, will return back to the Holy Land in the earthly realm. So you got three major groups of people. Okay? So that's why I list here Matthew chapter 24, verse 21 to 22, Revelation chapter 13, verses 5 to 10. And there the horn is the mouth speaking great things in verse 5. Then Revelation chapter 12, verse 14 through 17, that reminds me this is why that those who don't go into the wilderness, it can be for different reasons. Because remember, Christ is only dealing with the ones who have received salvation, who have kept the commandments, who have been baptized in his name, who have this seal of the Holy Spirit upon them. Those are the ones that he's coming for. Okay? And then you have the chosen remnant of Israel to go into the Holy Land. But those who are not chosen, could be that they didn't live up to the word. It could be many different reasons, or some could be matriarchs. However, they have to die or prove themselves in the name of Yahushua. In other words, they're going to have to die for their faith. That's why when I read Revelation chapter 12, it said that those who keep the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, that's who the serpent going to come after. Okay? So it's being many different reasons why they don't go into the wilderness. Again, they could be matriarchs. They could be the ones who didn't fulfill what the word tells them to do. I mean, it could be many different reasons, okay? But read Revelation chapter 12 when you get a chance. Let's get back on track. Revelation 11 through verse 3 through 19. 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 18 through 19. The 10 Greek kings, which are the Hellenistic rulers, in the Roman Republic reign of 175 BC, and the three kings subdued are, so let's scroll down to see how that was fulfilled. And I know you definitely gonna want to pause this and write this stuff down. In the Seleucid dynasty, which is Asia / Syria, Heliodorus co-ruled with Antiochus, the infant son of Seleucus IV Philopater. Okay, this is dealing with the nails, or what we read about. I'm gonna make sure I read it right. Of the beasts. Okay. There are 10 kingdoms that makes up that. The second one is the Ptolemaic dynasty, and that's under Ptolemy. The third kingdom is Antigoni dynasty, which is known as the Macedonians, that's Greek. Perseus of Macedon. Back to the Ptolemaic dynasty, that's Egypt. The fourth kingdom is the Attalid dynasty, and that area deals with Pergamon/Turkey, and that was under Eumenes. The fifth kingdom is the Greco-Bactrians, and that area deals with Bactria and Sardian in the Central Asia, and that was under Demetrius II of India. Then the sixth kingdom was the Indo-Greeks, and that's looking at India, and that was under Apollodotus the first Soter, and then he had a successor. I'm sorry, which was a successor to Apollodotus, which was Demetrius II of India. Then the seventh kingdom is King of Bithynia, and that's done with northwestern Anatolia. And that person for that was Prusias. The eighth kingdom is King of Pontus, which is dealing with Asia Minor. And again, that's dealing with Turkey, as well as Anatolia is dealing with Turkey. And that person for that kingdom of the eighth kingdom is Pharnax. Then for the ninth kingdom, the king of Commagene, which deal with southern Anatolia, that would deal with Ptolemaic of Commagene. Okay. And keep in mind, these are all Greek kingdoms. Then the 10th kingdom would deal with King of Cappadocia, and that would deal with Central Anatolia. And again, that's dealing with Turkey. And I'm not going to try to pronounce that person's name, but they was the fourth of Cappadocia. Now, here's the thing about the three kings that is mentioned in the verse about the three kings who are subdued. Antiochus IV Epiphanes subdued Ptolemy the sixth Philometor in 170 BC, who was the ruler over Egypt. He also subdued Heliodorus, treasurer of Seleucus IV, and he killed him in 175 BC. And in 170 BC, he killed Antiochus, who was the son of Seleucus IV Philopator. Those were the three kings that he subdued. Then I have here Demetrius I Soter, son of Seleucus IV, was unable to detest him because he was a hostage at Rome. So remember, Antiochus Epiphanes took the kingdom as written. Here's a note. By the year of 175 BC, there were 10 Greek kingdoms, but originally there was 13 kingdoms. Two of them was overthrown, and one of them split into 4 kingdoms, which are the Argead dynasty, Anaxander the Great, or Anaxander the Fourth of Macedon, which split into 4 kingdoms. And they are, it says see number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 above. So let's go above. There were the 4 kingdoms that split from Alexander Kingdom, which was the Seleucid dynasty, the Ptolemaic dynasty, the Antigoni dynasty, and the Attalid dynasty. Okay. And then you had here the Lysimachid dynasty. This is done with the king of Thrace, was from 306 BC to 281 BC. And then the Antiochus dynasty, which is done with the king of Macedon, was founded by Cassander, son of Antipater, which ended in 294 BC. So the 10 kingdoms of the fourth beast in Daniel chapter 7 was reference to the 10 Greek kingdoms that you see above. The 13th one, with all them either overthrowing or conquering one another. I know the extra one comes later on. but those first 10 that I have in that list do fulfill that prophecy. Okay. The 10 kingdoms of the restored fourth beast in Revelation chapter 13 and second Ezra chapter 12 verse 18 was in reference to the United Nations, or the EU/EEC, which is Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Ireland, England, and West Germany. The Roman kingdoms arise. So this is something you definitely want to write down so you can know how to still trace this kingdom today. The Roman kingdom was from 753 BC to 509 BC. The Roman Republic was from 509 BC to 27 BC. The Roman Empire was from 27 BC to 476 AD. And then 476 AD, that's when you had the fall of Rome. Later, Rome will be restored by America, which has already been fulfilled, as according to 2nd Ezra chapter 12, verse 18, and Revelation chapter 13. And I did want to show you the picture of the current members today of the United Nations, or most people may say the European nations. And they are Belgium, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Luxembourg, Portugal, Spain, Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. Okay? This is my brother's kingdom, Esau's kingdom. Let us continue. Antiochus IV Epiphanes fulfilled Daniel chapter 7 and 8. For he is the little horn speaking great words, the first antichrist or anti-Messiah. Daniel's according to Daniel chapter 7, verse 8, verse 11, and verse 20 to 21 and 24 to 25. Also read 1 John chapter 2, verse 18. In the latter time of the four kingdoms of the Greek, and you can read that for yourself, I'm not going to read that again, this little horn shall rise. And that was the horn that rise from those four Greek kingdoms, which is Antiochus Epiphanes. Read Daniel chapter 8, verse 9 to 12, and verse 23 to 25. The description of Antiochus Epiphanes, the wicked, rude, and vile person, and that's what that type of is dealing with what we're about to read now. The interpretation of the dream, Daniel chapter 8, verse 23. In the later time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And the holy people in this verse is talking about the nation of Israel. Okay. Verse 25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Okay. Number 2, the dream of the interpretation. Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn which waxed exceedingly great towards the south and towards the east and towards the present land. Pleasant land is Israel, south is Egypt, and I'm trying to remember what east. It has something to do with them regaining back their lands that they lost, like Asia. Okay. Verse 10, and it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it came down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stomped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the hosts, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it came down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prophets and prosperous. So if you know the history with the Maccabees, first and second Maccabees, when Antiochus came on the scene, he enforced the Greekish customs, which is called being Hellenized. He also defiled the temple. He did sacrifices in our temple with the forbidden animals. He calls us not to do ourselves our daily sacrifices for a certain period of time. Okay? Let's read verse 22. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken. Yea, as the prince of the covenant. Okay, let me read that again. Yea, also the prince of the covenant. So the arms of the flood is dealing with power or strength of his army. Him in this verse is talking about Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. They is talking about Ptolemy the sixth Philometer and the Egyptians. And the outcome of this was in 170 BC, Antiochus the fourth defeated the Egyptians near Pelusium with a great slaughter by the Nile River. Now, Prince of the Covenant is dealing with this one. This what the Prince of the Covenant deals with. Antiochus replaced Anias the high priest with Jason, the brother of Anias, to be high priest, and you can find it in 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 7 through 36. Jason brought his own nation to the Greekish customs and had a place built to exercise the heathen customs, and that can be found in 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 10 to 15 and 2 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 10 to 12. The priests in Judea forsake the covenant as written in 1 Maccabees chapter 4 verse 13. Now such was the height of Greek factions and increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly ranch, and no high priest, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hasten to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise. After the game, Antiochus called them forth, not setting by the honors of their father, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all, by reason of sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers, who custom they follow so earnestly, unto whom they desired to be like in all things. So this did happen within in the land of Judea, okay, of the province of Judea. So as you read the book of Maccabees, that's why my people rose up, John and the Maccabeans, to fight against the Greeks. They even fought against the people who betrayed their own people, such as John. So I would highly recommend to read that book. It's a great book to read, because you would see the great sacrifice that my people made and stood up against these heathens when it came to keeping the covenant. They stood their ground. They fought back. Let's keep reading. Verse 23, and after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up and shall become strong with a small people. Now, again, this is talking about Antiochus Epiphanes with regarding to he. The him is dealing with Ptolemy the sixth Philometer of Egypt, and the small people are when Antiochus came with a small group of men or small troop to take the passes and to pass them into subjection unto him. So that's what he did to fool Ptolemy so he can get into his land and battle against him. Let's keep reading. Verse 24. He shall enter peacefully even upon the fattest places of the province. And he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his father's father. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches. Yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. So again, he is talking about Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. And Antiochus pretended to come with peace when entering Egypt, for it was rich with great treasures. He shared this wealth with his confidence and accomplished of attaining succession over Egypt, which his forefathers could not do. Read it in 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 30. He has subdued the places of greatest strength in the Ptolemaic kingdom for a certain period of time. Verse 25. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Now the king of the south is dealing with Ptolemy the sixth Philometer, who reigned from 180 to 145 BC. He was the son of Ptolemy the fifth Epiphanes. and Cleopatra the First. He is the sixth ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Now, in this verse 25, he is dealing with Antiochus IV Epiphanes. The year of the attack was 170 BC, which is the first attack. Day is dealing with Ptolemy was betrayed by Eulaeus, Benias, and the rest of his noble, for they were corrupt by Antiochus IV. Now, this is done with a history note about the Assyrian War. When the guardians of King Ptolemy VI of Egypt demanded the return of Holy Syria in 170 BC, Antiochus launched a primitive strike against Egypt, conquering all but Alexandria and capturing King Ptolemy VI. To avoid alarming Rome, Antiochus allowed Ptolemy VI to continue ruling as a puppet king. Upon Antiochus' withdrawal, the city of Alexandria chose a new king, one of Ptolemy's brothers, Ptolemy VIII. Instead of fighting civil war, the Ptolemy brothers agreed to rule Egypt jointly. Again, do you see how this history is lining up with the with the word? Verse 26. Yea, they that fed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. They is Antiochus' friends and confidence. Him is Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, and his army is talking about his he had a his army was large. And far as a note on with this particular verse, many of them will be met with a great slaughter. Verse 27. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. So this is very important. The Most High has an important time for every kingdom, when it shall begin and when it shall end. Okay. Now the kings in this verse in 27 is dealing with Ptolemy VI, Philometor, and Antiochus IV Epiphanes. Now they end at the appointed time. This is what this is regarding. Their kingdom dominion will be taken away, but their lives will be prolonged for a certain period of time. Read Daniel chapter 7, verse 9 to 28. King Ptolemy VI, Philometor died in 145 BC, which is the 167th year of the Greek kingdom, of unknown causes. He was deceitfully when established himself as king of Asia and Egypt. Read 1 Maccabees chapter 10, 1 through 89, and chapter 11, verse 8. And Antiochus IV Epiphanes dies a horrible death. Read 1 Maccabees chapter 6, 1 through 16, and 2 Maccabees chapter 9, 1 through 29. And that's because he was the Antichrist. He spoke against the Most High. He did some wicked, terrible things to our people. He was an abomination, my people. So he died the worst death. You got to read that. So we keep reading. Both of them failed their missions. Ptolemy did not attain Asia, Syria, and Antiochus did not attain Egypt. The time of the end will begin in the Great Tribulation. So this is like the Great Tribulation 2, which is 1,260 days or 3.5 years. Read Daniel chapter 7, verse 21 through 22 and 24 to 25. Read Revelation chapter 13, 5 to 10. Chapter 12, verses 14 through 17, and chapter 11, verse 3 through 19. Also, Matthew chapter 24 to 21 to 22, for that pertains to the Great Tribulation of Zion, which is going on now. It's been going on since 70 AD. Okay. And 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 18 through 19. Again, the holy city, Jerusalem, was treaded upon by Roman army, which ended in 70 AD. It took the Romans 3.5 years to win the war against the Israelites and to destroy their holy temple and city. Okay? And I forgot to list the dates on that because I know it was within a 7-year, but during that 7-year war, it was at the mid part of that war when they were able to destroy Jerusalem. Let's read verse 28. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant. And he shall do exploits and return to his own land. So he in this verse is Antiochus IV Epiphanes. And the land that is talking about is Antioch, and you can find it in 2 Maccabees chapter 5, verse 21. Now, the Holy Covenant is dealing with the law of Yahuwah, which is basically said here, the law of Yahuwah is forbidden to be practiced by the Israelites. Okay, what it's saying here that he forbidding the Israelites to practice the law of Yahuwah, which is the covenant that he gave unto us on Mount Horeb when Moses was leading our people. And you can read it in First Maccabees chapter 1 verses 20 to 28 and Second Maccabees chapter 6 verses 1 to 31. And the great riches are dealing with and in regard to in 169 BC he pillaged the holy temple, and you can read that in First Maccabees chapter 1 verses 20 to 24 and Second Maccabees chapter 5 verse 16 to 21. So he did rob from Jerusalem holy temple. All right, let's read verse 29. So this would be ended up between the kings of the north versus the kings of the south. Verse 29. At the time appointed he shall return and come towards the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter, or as the latter. Now, in this verse, south is Egypt. He is Antiochus IV Epiphanes. That time appointed is dealing with in 169 BC, the second attack on Egypt in the 143rd year reign of the Greek kingdom. Now, the outcome dealing with the South is that in the first attack, Antiochus IV Epiphanes was successful, but in the second attack, things changed for him. And we'll be going to Daniel chapter 11, verse 30 for this outcome. Now, scriptures you can read are First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 20 through 64, Second Maccabees chapter 5, verse 1 through 27, and First Maccabees chapter 1. And I'm going to read and start verse 20. And after that, Antiochus Epiphanes had submitted Egypt. He returned again in the 140th. He returned again in the 143rd year, which is 169 BC, my people. And when he went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. Now, for this part of the lesson, because the Samaritans are mentioned in the book of Maccabees, and I did want to give you some information about the Samaritans because they are a Gentile nation. That's why even the high priest that's in Ben Sirah chapter 50, I believe, talks about how he despised them. Because here's the thing about Samaritan, they have a history to claim to be Israelites, like direct blood descendants. But when things got hot, they would hurry up and change up and claim to be Gentiles, which is their true nationality. That's one of the reasons why the Israelites despised them. Another reason that when we kept the holy feast, we kept it in Jerusalem because that's where our Father placed his holy name at. However, they did not. So that's why when you read John chapter 4, the woman at the well who claimed to be a descendant, she actually wasn't. She was a Gentile, a Samaritan. And that's why Christ told her that, you don't know what you're worshiping on the mountain that you're going to. So let's read a little bit about them. And after we read about them, that's within part 2. And then we'll go with part 3 for Daniel's chapter 11, verse 30. Okay. Remember, Antiochus the Great and Ptolemaic son Elias had taken Israelites and Samaria as captives in Egypt. Later, they were set free. You got to see part 4:1 for more details. It would be interesting to know why there were contentions between Israelites and Samaritans that can be read in the Old Testament and New Testament of the Bible. And to see the reactions of the Samaritans when Antiochus IV Epiphanes ordered all to renounce their laws and customs and to follow the Greek customs with worships the Greek gods. Now, this is what history knows. According to Josephus, these Samaritans rejected being related to the Israelites and announced their true heritage as Gentiles of the other nations. And this is what I quote from his book. When the Samaritans saw the Jews under these sufferings, they no longer confessed that they were of their kindred, nor that the temple on Mount Gerizim belonged to the Almighty God. This was according to their nature, as we have already shown. And they now said that they were a colony of the Medes and Persians. and indeed they were a colony of theirs. So they sent ambassadors to Antiochus and epistles whose contents are these. To King Antiochus the god Epiphanes, a memorial from the Sidonians, you go up a little bit more, who lived at Sychem. And this is confirmed in Ben Sirah, I believe, chapter 50, or it's 43. Our fathers, upon certain frequent plagues, and as following a certain ancient superstition, had a custom of observing that day which by the Jews is called the Sabbath. And when they had erected a temple at the mountain called Gerizim, though without a name, they offered upon it the proper sacrifices. Now, upon the just treatment of these wicked Jews, those that manage their affairs, supposing that we were akin to them and practice as they do, make us liable to the same accusations, although we be original Sidonians, as is evident from the public records. We therefore beseech thee, our benefactor and savior. See how they put him on a pedestal? The Most High don't like that. To give order to Apollonius, the governor of this part of the country, and to Nicanor, the procurator of thy affairs, to give us no disturbance, nor to lay to our charge what the Jews are accused for, since we are aliens from their nations and from their customs. But let our temple, which at present hath no name at all, be named the temple of Jupiter Hellenes. This is getting good, my people. If this were once done, we should be no longer disturbed, but should be more intent on our occupation with quietness, and so bring in a greater revenue to thee. When the Samaritan had petitioned for this, the king sent them back the following answer in an epistle. King Antiochus to Nicanor, the Sidonians who live at Shechem have sent me the memorial enclosed. When therefore we were advising with our friends about it, excuse me, the messengers sent by them represent to us that they are no way concerned with accusations which belong to the Jews, but chose to live after the customs of the Greeks. And remember, these are Grecians too. According, we declare them free from such accusations, in order that, agreeable to their petition, their temple be named the temple of Jupiter Hellenes. He also sent the like epistle to Apollonius, the governor of that part of the country, in the 46th year, and the 80th day of the month Hecatorabion. And you can find it in Josephus, the Book of Antiquities, chapter 11, 5.5. Okay? Oh, here go that verse. This is what Simon the high priest said about him. Simon the high priest, son of Ananias, stated in the book of Ben Sirah, or the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 50, verse 25. There be two manner of nations which my heart abhorreth, and the third is no nation. They that sit upon the mountain of Samaria, and they that dwell amongst the Philistines, and that foolish people that dwell in Shechem, which fulfill this prophecy, my people. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation, and that is the precept to Romans chapter 10, verse 19, and read Romans chapter 10, verse 20 to 21, which the precept for that verse is Isaiah chapter 65, verse 1 to 2. A nation not called by his name. Tell you, this is some good stuff. These are scriptures pertaining to the Samaritans. Actually, I'm not going to read this out loud. I'm just going to bring this up and let you pause the screen and you can write this down. especially the book of Ezra. Now, you see Ezra, it does relate to Esdras in the Apocrypha. It comes from the same priest and scribe, okay? But it's going to give you the history of how the Samaritans start worship on Mount Gerizim, okay? All right? So read about that. And also dealing with outcasts of Israel, you got to keep in mind that was people who was cast away from Israel who were Israelites, but because they didn't take on to the custom of the ways, they were sent away. And an example of that is in the book of Nehemiah when our men married strange women. And because those strange women didn't take on hold to the covenant and did not teach the children the Most High covenant and the language, they had to cast them away because it would have been a bad apple. It would have affected the whole nation. So those men took a pledge upon themselves to cast those women and children away to make it right with the Most High. Okay. I'm also going to pause on this part of the screen. Just pause it. But I will mention this is why Yahushua did deal with the Samaritans. This is why he did preach unto them. This is why he told them that the Samaritan is our neighbor. Because even in the Old Testament, before Yahushua, okay, we always had strangers who took a hold to the covenant. Even in the land, they was enforced to live like the way we were. You can read about it in King Josiah when he ruled and what he did. Also, when you read the book of Esther, you will find out that when they saw that we had favor with the king, when the king put the decree out about our enemies being put to death, because of that decree, the people feared, so they converted to our way of life. And the way to convert or to take on to the covenant before Christ was circumcision. The men had to be circumcised. But now that Christ has come, and I'm talking about in this earthen realm, I'm not talking about the new kingdom, I'm not talking about what the prophet Ezekiel is talking about. I'm talking about now. We are spiritually circumcised without hands. So this is why the Gentiles, when you read Acts chapter 15, as well as Colossians and Galatians, especially with Titus, because Titus was a Greek, he was a Gentile. This is why they didn't do the circumcision, because they had the spiritual understanding of what Christ did. For now, we'll operate in the spiritual because we cannot keep the law perfectly. And we will keep the law perfectly when Christ come back in the new kingdom as commanded, okay? But we are covered now through Christ. So Christ will give you an understanding of what parts of the covenant to keep and what parts are covered through him under grace, and how we are operating in the spiritual, which is another video and another lesson on that. So this proved to my people, especially to my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters, that the Gentiles can receive salvation, for Yahushua is the salvation of Yahuwah. And again, in order to enter into the kingdom of heaven, you have to be born again. So what is done for the Israelites, the Gentiles have to do too. Okay. But definitely click on part 3, because it's going to get interesting now about the Romans, about how we got into that kingdom now. Again, my people, this is the season for Yahushua HaMashiach to return, preach the gospel to all nations. Most important, let them receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, verse 8 through 13, and baptize them in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay? And don't forget to listen to part 3. If you have not listened to part 1, please listen to part 1 before proceeding further. Shalom.